Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the third day of May, 2023, Wednesday of the fourth week of Easter. It is the 25th day of the Easter season, halfway through the Easter season today. Today we also celebrate the feast of the apostles Philip and James. Again, who were they really? Philip appears a couple of times in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, usually in Acts, and also in the Gospels. But James doesn't really appear at all, or he doesn't have any words. He doesn't have anything to say. Philip has things to say in both the epistles and in the Gospels, but James does not. And who was James? It's kind of hard to identify him because there are two Jameses who were labeled as apostles. James and John, the son of Zebedee. Then there was another James, and sometimes they're referred to as lesser and greater, and so it is kind of hard to distinguish. Generally, one would think that James the Greater would be the more important because he goes by the name Greater, but it seems as though, as we'll see in the first reading today, that this James, who is lesser as the one celebrated today, because that's why he's linked with Philip, seems to be the one that would be more important. So it's all one great mystery, but two Jameses, the first of which we celebrate today. The second James is celebrated in July 25th, I think it is. So, but coming to you from an early morning from the patio outside of in the back of the rectory today. So as the sun dapples the backyard patio, it's kind of nice this morning here. It's also a nice cool day, or a nice cool morning at least, to begin. So that's all good this morning. In today's readings, the special readings for both Philip and for James, the first reading from 1 Corinthians, in which Paul gives the great account of of the appearances after Jesus' resurrection. And he goes through a list of people, and it ends up with an appearance to one named James. Now, sometimes, again, this James he may have been a leader of the community in Jerusalem because Peter was out evangelizing and things like that. So the early church in Jerusalem, James may have been a leader of that. There is a James that was beheaded because of that. Is that the James the Greater or James the Lesser? Again, doesn't know. But the whole idea is what Paul is trying to do is then, again, is show to whom it was felt necessary to experience the resurrection, to experience the appearances. And it is a variety of people. And again, some of these names, which would have meant more perhaps to the early Christians, we just have sort of an account, now that's there. What this always tells us, is that it is not about being lesser and greater, although we kind of tag those titles onto James. It is about being people to whom God sees potential, and God sees wonder and glory, and to have an experience of God like the resurrection appearances would have been something that would have been striking, and that would have then encouraged these individuals to continue going forth and to proclaim just who and what Jesus is and what has happened to him, because without their witness, then the resurrection does not go anywhere. It does not do anything. It does not reveal the fact that God and God's promises do not come to nothing, but that they are always fulfilled, and they always come to a new way of understanding ourselves and who and what we are as wonderful and glorious creations of God in this world. In the Gospel, Philip, Jesus tells Thomas at the beginning of John's Gospel that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And again, if you see him, you see the Father, and et cetera, et cetera. And then Philip asks, a stupid question. Well, show us the Father, and that'll be enough for us. And then, Jesus basically goes to Philip and says, again, I've been with you all this time, and you still don't know who and what I am. So it's kind of a cut to Philip, Again, Jesus' own frustration and his angst against the apostles just kind of reaches highs and lows, and here's one of the highs of the frustration, the angst against them. Again, kind of labeled in Philip, but Jesus goes on, to say that it is the Father's will that he be made known to people, and again, the experience of Jesus is an experience of God, Creator, Father, all those things together, and that reality again is important for us as believers, because if Jesus is not God, if God has not walked among us to experience our pains and our hopes, our joys and our sorrows, then God really cannot understand us, and there is no hope, a kind of for salvation or redemption, because you have a God that is operating out of an ignorance of what God has created. And again, if God is all-knowing and omniscient and all wonderful and everything like that, we say that God is, then of course God would have to know even the faults and failings of creation personally. And what makes creation yearn for perfection and yearn to move forward into fullness, into wholeness. It's a wonderful realization, again, that comes through the Easter season, and that comes in this period of time in which all of life is renewed. It can be renewed because God knows how to renew it, because God has experienced it. God is not looking at us through a microscope. God is not looking at us as someone who is disengaged or disinterested, but a God who understands, who and what we are, and the wonder and glory of what that is. That should give us joy. That should give us peace. That should give us the courage to continue to move forth in being witnesses of God's love in the world. A glorious Easter season continues. St. Francis and people of God, may the Lord give you his peace.